Here we are live with our Fort Wayne semi-state show, and we have the legend, the Pick'em legend, Caleb Spires on here. This is his first hangout. Got to give him a warm welcome. He is our new and improved Fort Wayne semi-state rankings guy. You guys noticed I do have a nice background now. I had to, I couldn't let Mike outdo me with this. With the legend.
That looks. I'm not positive, but that looks like the same background from the gorilla cage.
Yes, it is. It's a
We're
portable
recycled here.
So, welcome, Caleb. How did your first run with the rankings this year? What do you think of it?
Okay, I expected as the year went on, more results would come in and it would get easier. But as the year went on, more results came in and everybody beat everybody, and it was a lot harder.
Yes.
That's how I like to do it.
Still a lot.
And then you get the complaints that, well, we beat him. How are you ranked below him? And then
We're unranked guys.
Yes.
Well, they don't ever like to tell you who they lost to.
Yeah.
That's a little ranking knowledge for you guys. It's, hey, we beat that guy year 17 and 17. If I rank you in the state, I had to rank 16 other individuals ahead of you.
So you're still 17th.
I like to tell people, oh, you're ranked like 40th. And then they start tweeting that stuff out, and it makes me look crazy.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I appreciate you taking over, and I know you'll do a good job when you have a full season under your belt. And definitely, that you're a wrestling nerd like many of us here. Obviously, you've dominated pick'ems, and
Sprunger keeps telling me, like, you guys are missed. You were runner-up last year. Sprunger said he's the new champion.
Oh,
But he thinks he's the new champion.
We didn't know that we gave Caleb a handicap last year.
No.
Like, he had a 4-point handicap. So if it was in 4 points, we were going to give it to the next guy. He has too much IndianaMat gear.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't have to give him very much because he already had half of it. He has almost as much as you, Mike, and he actually earned it.
Doubtful. Hey, I know that hurts. That cuts deep.
I'm sorry. Nah, we
Yeah. At least you can't be worse than the last guy doing those rankings.
Yeah.
At least getting updated.
Yes. Yeah. Spend my time updating other stuff. Yeah. No, it's
Like the site.
oh yeah, it's actually kind of a relief that I can work on getting results in, and hopefully we can update the website a little bit this spring and summer. That's one of the Nick was already putting together a list of what should we do, and he has a million things to do. I'm like, thank you, Nick. So
not only is he funny and he brings semi-state rankings, but he's also the brainchild behind all of this, right?
Yeah. He has all these great ideas. I'm like, but yes, it's great to have ideas, but how do we do them? Who has the time to do all these? So
I like when you guys talk about that kind of stuff, and I'm just like there, like, awesome.
Yes, copy paste. So, with that, we're going to start talking about our fun semi-state, the best semi-state, I think. I'm biased, but first off, it sounds like undefeated Christian Bratcher will be out. I heard that he got in a car accident. Sounds like he's pretty banged up. Gonna live and everything, and should heal fairly, I'd say, soon. I guess it's not like a life-threatening injuries or career-ending injuries, but definitely wish him a speedy recovery. Tough way to go out undefeated. I can't remember if he's a senior or not.
I think he is a senior, right?
Is he? Oops, they've already taken him out, so I don't know.
We have him in the rank.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough way. Got a couple texts this morning and was hoping that they were not right, and unfortunately they were correct. So tough way, good kid. No, he's a junior, so he still has one more year. Comes from a great family. From everything I've heard, I knew his brother a little bit, talked to him a little bit when he was wrestling back in the day. So seems like a pretty good family. So hopefully he'll be back and getting healed up and back next year better than ever.
Yeah.
So
definitely a tough thing, obviously being a parent that's not I mean, my kids are young. Your kids are young. We don't ever have to deal with that. But that's not the call apparently once, I'm sure. And I'm happy that he's going to make a full recovery because it could have been a lot worse from even like the limited amount of injuries that they said, like a couple broken ribs, broken vertebrae. But like big picture, it could have been terrible.
Yeah, definitely. I know. I mean, I was driving last night after practice, and it was kind of nasty out here. I don't know how it was down there. I assume they probably got some snow and ice, and it was you had those things happen, and just a rough week. I mean, you hear kids getting sick around this time of year anyway. You already have that to deal with as coaches. I know we've had some kids that have been up and down, being sick, and that's the I guess that's part of the game. I mean, it's winter time, people get sick, so things like that happen. So hopefully everyone's as healthy as they can be at this, this stage of the game, because it's do or die now. And so we'll move on. We'll go to 106. Mike's winging it tonight. He just pulls up the brackets. He's just picking names out of a hat.
I do it usually. I have a good track record doing that.
Yes. So first off, 106, we're looking at Braden Curtis is probably the favorite, turning 7th place finisher. He'll be pushed a little bit. To take around Isaac Weimer and Peyton Lechner should be a pretty good first-round match. Both are pretty solid. I think they can push Curtis. Lechner's a senior, so you got a senior. He's not going to want to go home very easily, so he's going to have to step it up. J.C. Herring was a returning state qualifier last year for Oak Hill. And then Fernando Flores was a senior. I guess he's only 11th grader, it says on here.
He's got a lot of upperclassmen at 106.
Yeah, you have a lot. You have Flores in his first round match as a senior. Then up top you have Shearer, who's a junior too. So a lot of older guys, I guess. And Curtis has a junior. So I guess that they're a little tight. They're tiny around here.
Man, I thought you guys were big on the farm. That's just
nah. So we'll let Caleb kind of tell us what he's thinking, and let's bracket any big matchups he's looking at. And then we'll let Mike take the next cleanup here.
Woo.
The take-around match that stands out most to me would probably be Shearer versus the winner of Sturgill and Buchanan. Buchanan has put himself together a pretty good season. I've yet to see Sturgill, but at 32-6, can't be too bad. But most of Shearer's losses have come at 113, so he is prepared for this weight.
Yeah, he wrestled up most of the season. His only loss is to Gabe Smith at the Al Smith in the finals at 106. So, and he has about 12 losses to Tanner Schoaf from Central Noble, who's at 113. So they have
hopefully if you had the Fort Wayne preview, you read the section who are your losses to.
Yes.
One of my favorite of all the previews.
Yes. Yeah, that was a little bit of work. Any other? Yeah. Yes. Any other? What else are you looking at here, Caleb? As far as
I'm gonna keep an eye on JC. I could see him navigating through and beating Curtis in the finals.
Yeah. That's
being a one-loss senior state experience.
Yeah. Fort Wayne's always the semi-state I do the worst in the pick'ems in. I tend to go with a lot of guys I've seen, and I mean I've seen a good amount this year. I've seen Fernando. He got the 2 losses at Al Smith. I've seen JC at Team State. I like JC, but I mean John Matthew Sprawl. I had him on the watch list.
Yeah,
33-5. That's a tough draw first match. But I mean JC's only loss is the Black, right?
Yeah.
Peyton Letcher. Peyton Letcher had some wins over Tyson Kuhn last year. Kuhn beat him this year. I thought very highly of Tyson Kuhn. But I think Curtis is the class of the weight. Obviously, I had him ranked number 1. I think really high at John Moran. He beat Jake Moran last year. It would be tough. The only person I see beating Curtis is the scale. I think that if a weight issue came up, I know he was missing weight a little bit during the middle of the season, but I think that he has that under control. I think if he makes weight, I think he's a semi-state champ, and that could be Fort Wayne's first champ next weekend.
Very much so. Yeah, I agree. there's a lot of that like John Matthew Spall from East Noble. He beat last year. He had a real good season. I don't know what happened at regional, where he just might have had a bad day. I'm good. Where he kind of had a bad day, but he beat Shearer last year. He beat like that Tanner Schoaf. He had and I think he beat like Wyatt Miller too. I mean, he had a real good season going last year, and I don't know if he just had a bad day. And I mean, I could see him. That's a first round matchup that Herring can't overlook, or he'll be sent home early.
Yeah,
fourth seed.
Yeah, and
I like Shearer too.
Yeah,
I think
Shearer's tough.
I know. Got a little Railroader love. I know I gave my Calumet love. I'm sure we're going to get some Gemtown love. Shearer is, he looked good at Dallas Smith. I think there wasn't a lot of people beating I can't even think of the kid's name that won it now.
Gabe Smith
that day. He was just on fire. Like, he was hitting headlocks out of this world, like throwing them with 10 seconds on pinning guys. But Shearer scrambles well. He's good on top. He beat Sean Hollis, who I have a lot of respect for Sean Hollis. I think that Sean Hollis is going to win East Chicago Saturday. So that Curtis Shearer match will be really good in the semis.
Yep. The recurring – go ahead, Caleb.
I was just going to say, yeah, I think Shearer's definitely probably the favorite of his quarter bracket and could push Curtis in the semifinals.
Yeah, definitely. It's the recurring theme of – possibly the top two guys in the semi-state are in the same half bracket. That's a theme of this year's semi-state draws, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it happens on the regular, or on the reg, as I like to say, it doesn't make for bad draws. It makes for bad draws for runners-up, but like we kind of talked about 126, De La Pena and Cummings on the same side, Mulkey, Rooks on the same side. It's going to work itself out. Not one of those guys are drawing that guy Friday night.
Yeah, that's huge. And I know we have a 26-pounder that has a pretty good shot of making it out possibly, and I'm hoping he gets an odd number instead of an even.
Yeah,
because that's huge there. I mean, it really is. I mean, you could be drawn into a Mulkey or Rooks, whereas if you get third, you draw into a lot easier. Not say easier by any means, but
they're all tough. But those guys are homers. But yeah. I heard your guys' 26 is pretty good at math, and if it's a math competition, he's winning.
Oh yes, very much so. Moving on, 1/3. Go. You have something to say? No.
Isn't he also a jazz band specialist?
Yes, he is. He was. He missed one of our meets because he's in jazz band. So because they have competitions like this weekend and next weekend, and so he's like, okay, I'll miss the Wild Bill so I can go to semi-state and state. So it's always
makes sense.
Someone told me that Carroll, and I could be wrong, is really good at like Glee Club. Is that true? I'm being serious. 100%. This guy whose kids in like Glee Club, he works at the mill. He's like, he told me, there's like a Fort Wayne school that's really good at like Glee Club, and I said, is it Carroll? He said it is Carroll, so he could be wrong, but it sounds like you guys got some songbirds.
Yeah, we got some. I mean, it's a big enough school that they have a real good band. I assume the show choir and stuff's pretty good.
Show choir, there it is.
It's hard to keep track of all that. I mean, they won state and cross country, have pretty good basketball teams and pretty good track and field, and a lot of good things going there. That's it's always nice to the board with sectional regional championships is pretty full, so they could easily have it wouldn't surprise me. So
they did get handsomer coaches, right? I'm just joking.
It's not a beauty contest here.
All right.
So
113, right?
113. Got a Gemtown guy, probably the head of the class, Hunter Watts. And then you have bottom half, you have a Wyatt Miller, who's pretty tough. He has a brother that's been harassing me on Twitter today.
I was disappointed. I thought he was going to be in the show tonight.
Yeah. He didn't like the picture I posted that in my reply. As Roadruck said, I'm pretty savage. So you got those two guys are kind of the favorites, and then the other quarter brackets are kind of pick-ems. Mike, what's your thoughts here?
I really like 113 out at Fort Wayne. I think a lot of the guys are very even. I think this is a weight, and I know Caleb's a pick'ems master. I try to beat him all the time. If I beat him, then I'm winning. But this is a way that can tear up your whole pick'ems because a lot of these guys traded losses are like kind of neck and neck. Tanner Sculf, I think, is really good. We saw him a little bit at ISWCA, but he'll have Wyatt Miller. That to me is a toss-up match. I think depends what Wyatt shows up that day. He's 33-3. I know he had like one really bad weekend at 120. Evan Beasley's beat Scoffer a couple times. He'll have Schuler. Moser obviously is always really tough. Seth Anderson, tough draw for him. First round, Hunter Watts. Seth Anderson, I thought looked really good at the Al Smith. He was beating Jacob Maldonado by a lot, and I looked down and Jacob's getting his hand raised. I was shocked. I had no clue what happened. He just kind of drew the short end of the stick with Watts because Watts is a beast. And Zach Todd, Joe Just, tough first round match. I haven't seen the Eastern Greentown kid, freshman, 23-2. Yeah. He's going to have his hands full with the winner that Yorktown Fort Wayne Carroll, which is going to have a lot to say about the team race.
Yeah, definitely. That Miller, one of those losses for Pearson is to Miller actually at the Goshen Invite a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So that's an interesting thing. Obviously I have a vested interest in that quarter bracket, so I'm kind of looking up. I'm trying to find out who's this guy with 2 losses. So I, start doing the old track thing, and he lost to Miller just last week or a couple weeks ago.
I like Gerald Pearson's track profile picture.
Yes, I do too. Headband's pretty nice. So, what's your thoughts here, Caleb?
That first quarter bracket is just a total pick 'em. I'm going with Just, but I think any 4 of them could pull it out.
Hey, just because Joe's on the show, Caleb, you don't have to say his guys.
That one has big implications on the team race right off the bat with Justin Todd. I think both of those could break through in another quarter bracket, but draw is the draw.
Yep. Watts, obviously, returning state placer is very, very tough here. Go ahead.
Beasley's surprised me the last few weeks. He took it to Shof at regionals.
Yeah, he's
7-0.
Yeah, he's had a good couple weeks. He actually has kind of quietly put together a pretty good season from what I've seen, kind of under the radar. I guess Northridge kind of goes under the radar. They have a pretty good team from, they have a lot of good guys. They have Eveler, they have Graber. They have a lot of guys that kind of go under the radar. Bixler, who's another guy that was a regional champ. So they've had some pretty solid guys here.
Yeah.
Man, Jared Pearson, just kind of looking at his track profile, he did lose to Miller, but he had some really tight matches with a lot of really good kids. He was tight with Sean Hollis. He was tight with Borman over the summer. He's tight with a bunch of really good kids. I haven't seen them, but I mean, that's kind of how I figure out a lot of guys. If I haven't seen, I like to see who they've kind of competed against, and he had some really solid results. But Travis Miller did beat him up pretty good, 7-0. So I don't know. I wasn't there, but 7-0's a pretty big score. 113 overall. I mean, a deep weight.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, I think the Miller Shof match should be pretty good. They've wrestled a few times, but they didn't see each other at the Garrett this year, but they've wrestled before, so it's one of those things that it could be a good one right there. That's a ticket round one to watch. And then that bottom half, Beasley and Schuler, should be a good one. I mean, Northridge could sneak out 3 or 4 guys, and people are going to be like, where'd Northridge come from? I don't even think they had a qualifier last year, the past couple of years. So that's one of those teams that I think they're young. They're going to be pretty good for the next couple of years.
Agreed. Definitely had some kids kick it up a notch this year.
Yeah, and I don't even know how many they have at they might probably have just as many at semi-state as teams like, Perennial Powers, Jimtown, and Elkhart Memorial, teams like that. So that's pretty impressive out of that regional that, they have 5 guys out, and that's more than Jimtown and Elkhart Memorial, teams that people are pretty tough. So Perennial Powers of that area.
Which 4 do you got, Caleb, for the pick'ems?
All right. I got Watts, Miller, and Just. Which that one could be completely wrong.
Who's the one that you have out of the bottom? You got Schuler or Beasley?
Yeah, I have Schuler, but I think Beasley could easily pull that one out. He's been wrestling lights out lately.
Yeah, definitely. How close was his match with Watts has been. Oh, Watts teched him. Oops.
Yeah, it was a tech ball. I wasn't going to say it.
Watts.
Yeah, Watts is on a different level here. Moving up, 120. Got another possible team race implication here. Jabin Wright and Christian Mejia are both the class here. Mejia was a runner-up at state last year. Didn't win regional, though, or semi-state. He lost to Wright. So it's one of those things that and Wright ended up not even placing after being semi-state champ. So that's why you wrestle the matches. So Wright has a pretty tough quarter bracket. Dane Martin and Trevor Boyce. I think Boyce is 2-1 against Martin. And Boyce is pretty tough. Boyce gave the Wayne kid a good match last year in the Tigger round. Almost beat him. He's pretty good.
Jeffrey Davis. Hiltmaster?
Yes. Yeah, he gave him a pretty good match. I mean, he can wrestle with the better guys here. It'll be interesting to see how that match plays out. Definitely kind of a rough draw for him. I think he was hoping to get one of the other 2 draws and have a little bit better of a chance. Up top, Stevenson is pretty good, looking to punch his ticket as a senior. What's your take there, Caleb?
I think Stevenson's probably the most likely out of that quarter bracket, but Kreider and Yoder, that could be a good first-round match. Yoder's been pretty under the radar this year, and Kreider's had a tough schedule that's prepared him for these. I think Wright should probably not walk through his quarter, but advance through. I got Rushing and a close match over Leader. Leader could push him. And obviously Mejia in the final quarter.
Yeah. That's why it looks like the 2 best guys, Wright and Mejia, are separated for once, so they could meet up in the finals again. Wright had a really good day last year at semi-state, which was, he looked to be clicking. He beat Mejia, he beat Davis, actually beat Yoder and Leiter. I mean, he didn't have an easy day. I mean, all these guys are pretty good kids. So he beat 2 top 4 guys to make the finals. So
I like Jabin. I think he's really tough. I think that's like one of the guys I kind of talk about where he could be in the mix to be a state semifinalist. I mean, he's 33-1. He's only lost John Anderson. He beat John Anderson this year, right? Yeah. They traded losses.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of ran into a guy that had some more like a real bad matchup for him last year, Friday night. But he's kind of avenged those losses. Donovan Johnson and Jabin, right? That's a tough matchup for Jabin. If he can't get to his offense, if you're going to go into a 0-0 match with Donovan Johnson, it's going to be tough. But he's avenged those losses. I like Stevenson. I think he's really solid. I think he's been on the – I feel like those brothers, like, back-to-back, like, went like 4 years for Jacob and then, like, right when he graduated, I think 4 years for Josh. I feel like I've talked about these guys for 8 years. They're really solid. I think they're good kids. I think he gets through. I like Trevor Boyce, though, too. Trevor Boyce beat Baxton Alexander from YYC, 36-4 senior. A lot of seniors in this way, too, for you guys.
Yeah. You have Rushing. You have a lot of seniors. You got a lot of seniors here this year.
Yeah.
So
I got it right. Mejia, Stevenson, Rushing.
Yeah, should be a pretty good one. Definitely a lot of, not as many tough ticket round matches, but there are a couple that could play into a team race, play into, like Coach Pandowski said, who's going to be that guy that, comes out of nowhere and everyone's talking about, like, where did he come from? You could have that a couple here, like, and, you just see some guys that you don't really know too much about, and, if they come on at the right time, they're good.
Yeah.
126, Matt Gimson at the top. He's probably the favorite. Those Gimson twins have kind of come on this year. Obviously, they have 3 losses between each other. They've been wrestling pretty well. Kind of a surprise semi-state or a regional champ, Dylan DeMarco of Garrett. I know him from when he was wee little. Pretty good kid. Just kind of put it together for regional and came away with a regional title and put himself in a pretty good position there. This weight's kind of one of those it's a grab bag because there's so many different storylines. You have the emergence of Gimson. You have DeMarco, who had a great regional in a real good solid weight class. Avenging a couple losses. Then you have Cottingham, freshman, who kind of has been under the radar throughout the season. 39-1, and then you have the bottom quarter bracket that is basically a pick. I'm pretty 3-4 solid guys that could that are going to come after you, and it's going to be in obviously throwing a team race. You have Prairie Heights, Carroll, and Yorktown, 3 teams that are going to be in that top 5 probably. They're all battling right there. That's big points, and that could make a day or ruin a day for a team right there. So. Mike, what's your take here?
Let me kind of start back up top. Obviously, Matt Gimson. Those guys are really impressive. I got to see them at the Al Smith. They're super exciting. They can they wrestle with you everywhere. They're scrappy. I like that. I have him advancing. Jalen Gibson, Marion. I don't think I've seen him a lot, but I know that. When they're in the conference with like Harrison and all them, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
He might have. I think he had a pretty decent win. It might have been Castillas, who's obviously Cottingham's only lost, but that's a grab. I really don't know. I'll have to pick a name there. Maybe I go to regional champ DeMarco. Hunter Cottingham. We kind of got some emails from him. He was a watch list kid. He beat Dylan Culp, which obviously Dylan Culp's the hammer. He's a medalist. And this guy's a freshman. Has only lost Aaron Castillas from West Lafayette. Kyle Davis has been around. I know he's been in the semi-state a couple of times. That bottom one is brutal. Ryan Rassler, Joe Byman, first match. Then if you win that match, you get Xavier Curtis, who's also a grinder. So you could pick any of those 3. I don't know. I guess that depends what Byman shows up to wrestle that day, or what Rassler shows up to wrestle, or which Curtis shows up to wrestle. Sometimes you'll see a match like Byman beating the Belmont kid, John Becker, who obviously had to withdraw from the tournament, which is unfortunate because he's a hammer. But then he'll have like a head scratching loss. Like you want to throw him in the rankings high. You're like, oh man, he beat John Becker. Let's get him in there. John Becker's obviously a top 12 kid, and then he'll lose to a kid that you really haven't really heard of. And Ryan Rassler obviously had the win over who was the kid from Maryville, the East Chicago Summer State. 2 losses. One of them was Ryan Bethune, who I know is tough, and Xavier Yorktown wrestler that's tough schedule as anyone. So I like Xavier, Cottingham, Gimson, and DeMarco. Gimson probably the champ.
Yeah. What's your take here, Caleb?
I got Gimson winning as well. Man, that quarter bracket, whoever comes out of that quarter bracket will most likely be the runner-up. I have Byman. I think Cottingham punches it, and I'll throw DeMarco a bone. He's been coming on strong lately.
Yeah, he had a good he won conference where he beat Rassler, and then obviously he got third at sectional, lost to Byman, and then came back and won regional, which, interesting. You go from third to first, which you want to be place a little bit higher at regional usually. That helps you out. So should be a good weight class. And I think that DeMarco Ledesma match might be a little bit better than people are anticipating. I think Ledesma's had some. Yeah, he's had some close matches, and I think I almost put him on the watch list early because I saw he had some matches with some good kids. So he might be one to watch as a possible 4/1. Just one of those kids that you don't know a little bit as much about. East Noble always has some sneaky good kids, and they lay low until the state series. So can't overlook those guys.
Do you guys have a lot of 4/1s at Fort Wayne?
We have a decent number. I mean, it's a lot. It's unfortunately we do have a weaker regional, the Peru regional. Sometimes that's usually where a lot of them happen, but there's just sometimes if there's a bad matchup or a big upset, that happens. So, I mean, not quite as many, I don't think, because I think usually the ones are fairly well ahead of the 4s for the most part.
Who's the Peru regional champ here? Cunningham?
Yeah. So I don't see him.
Tough.
Yeah.
Nah. I'd be shocked if he lost. Maybe tick around with Kyle Davis, but I don't think he's going to lose that 4-1.
Davis and him should be a good match. Even Davis and Burrell should be a pretty solid match. I don't know if they've wrestled. Burrell has some solid wins over these guys. Burrell lost. Davis beat Burrell 7-2 earlier in the year. So Burrell's pretty solid. I think he has some. I don't know if he's wrestled with some of those guys at 126 at the NECC. They all traded losses with each other. So that's and I know they've all beaten each other and all that. So Caleb, you still there?
Yeah. Phone went into low power mode. I'm gonna have to get that camera back on.
Okay. Got to plug it in. Well, 132. Another pretty solid weight class. At the top, Austin Moore, just talking about the Gibson brothers, took out Connor Gibson, gave him his first loss last week. Luckily for Gibson, it didn't really – it actually probably gave him a little bit – he didn't get stuck with a tough jaw like Christian Hunt, so he didn't hurt him too bad. He'll be on the opposite of probably the favorite, another Yorktown guy, Christian Hunt, placed 6th as a freshman, I believe. And I think he's kind of grown into this weight finally. I think last year at 120 he was a little undersized, and now he's looking a lot better at the bigger weight class. So he's pretty tall and lean.
He's tough.
So
man. He is
tough. He's tough. He's solid in all positions. He's hard to score on. He was on the Gorilla team last year, and he's good at holding position and very mat aware. So
tough draw for Dane Sandridge there. Zane had a nice season. He's having a nice season. Obviously, nothing set in stone, but that's definitely not the draw you want.
No. He's had some good wins, and you never know. That's why you wrestle the matches. I know he beat Prada. He had a real good Al Smith, beat Prada, who's I'm looking through some of the other semi-states. I'm looking at these guys that might be punching their tickets, and I'm like, he beat him. And that's one of those things. You gotta be wrestling right well at the same time, and some the grind of the season kind of can wear on some people. Well, hopefully he'll I have faith in my kid, and hopefully he's ready to wrestle, and he's as dangerous as anyone in that weight.
He's thick for 32. I know they always say, don't say those guys are big. He's 132 pounds. He's a thick 132.
Yeah.
I'm sure Christian Hunt's not happy with that draw either. That's probably not the runner-up he was looking to get.
No, not at all. And that's, like we said, there's 3 weights in a row where there's some Carroll and Yorktown matchups that, obviously they're going to set the tone. Actually, 4 weights in a row. Or no, 13, 20, 26, 32, 3 or 4. So those are ones that, I know I was
Is it 3 or is it 4?
It's 4. I can't count. It's been a long week.
But that's the kind of nature of the beast when, you guys send, would you guys send 12 and they send 12?
They have 12 and we have 9. So yeah, I mean, you're gonna opposite regionals, you're gonna hit up sometimes. So I mean, those are matches that I was earmarking when I was going through the brackets. Like, okay, if we want to win semi-state, we got to win these matches. Obviously, whether it's a Yorktown kid or not, it's still. I mean, knocking them out would be huge from the tournament. That's how you win semi-states, and obviously you need some help from other teams. Hopefully Belmont and the other top teams will, can do that. I mean, there's a lot of teams that, Yorktown's the favorite, but if they stumble, there's about 4 or 5 teams that can kind of pick up where they're leaving off.
I didn't have the bracket in front of me. I said, that's probably not the runner-up you want it. I would be willing to bet who has Christian Honey probably didn't want Connor Gibson either.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's when you didn't want.
No disrespect to the Carroll Superchargers, one of the best fan bases, super nice people.
Yeah. No. Mike, what's your take here? Obviously, there's some pretty interesting matchups.
Tyler Gibson looked amazing at the Al Smith. He's been on a roll. Jimtown doesn't wrestle a week schedule. He's found 42 people, and I would bet I watched him spladle Jack Tolan, who's going to Northwestern, and I was like, this guy's really tough. I think he spladled him twice. I think he loaded it, got it, and then loaded it back up and got him. So I got him advancing on the bottom. Like I said, I haven't seen a lot of those guys. Anthony Moser, Matt Wright, I haven't seen too much. I know Anthony Moser is tough. Is that how you say it, Moser? How Moser?
I don't know. They're from Adams County. They pronounce their names weird. But yeah, he's
Thomas.
Yeah. He was a state qualifier 2 years ago at 113 and ran into Blake Gagowski last year at semi-state in the ticket round. So he's definitely battle tested and pretty solid. He had some
very solid weight for Fort Wayne. Very, very solid weight.
Yeah, he had some good wins during the year. I can't remember. He beat some pretty solid guys. I think he beat Becker early in the year. I know one thing. I mean, obviously John Becker was out with got sick, and one of the things when I was doing the who are your losses to, there were a lot that said John Becker was there, so that's pretty impressive. He's wrestled some good kids. He beat Kreitzer from Brownsburg. I know he beat Moore. Yeah, he beat Moore earlier in the year. Beat Briar Goodwin, who is having a good season for South Adams. So
made some poor choices.
Yes. So
I don't want to say that. I mean, he's a grown kid. He can do whatever he wants. If you want to chew tobacco, that's not on me.
So
I'm about to tell you how to live. Yeah. Austin Moore, huge win for him at the beating Connor Gibson. I mean, I guess really those guys kind of got favorable draws in there, but that's a huge win. I think he punches his ticket with that. And I know he's done some work with you guys over the summers, right? Yeah.
I've coached him since he was like a novice. He's been coming up. He went up to Garrett and stuff. Real tough kid, nice kid. Definitely one that has put the time in, and hopefully I'd like to see him punch his ticket there.
I got to sit by some Central Noble people at Team State, and they were great. So,
no, that's good. Good to see for that program getting some notoriety and having some success. Caleb, what's your take here?
I'll be right back.
First things first, I'm mind blown by the fact that they're seriously Carroll and Yorktown quarter brackets in 4 straight weight classes.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Hunt as the champ. I think Gimson comes out on the other side. Moore third and Mosser fourth. But Mosser's take around match with Wright. Wright's been under the radar, and he's had some pretty close matches with good kids as well. So he could be a surprise.
Yeah, he's pretty solid. I mean, he beat Zane twice. Pretty much controlled both matches, which, Zane's a tough kid. And, 12 losses, he's had wrestled some good kids all throughout the year. So, he's no slouch by any means. I was pretty impressed with Wright. Pretty good in all the positions. So that Mosser and Wright match is going to be a good one. Adams Central, I think they have quite a streak of state qualifiers in a row for a small school like them, and I think they've had like 24 out of 25 years in a row or something crazy good. So this year, I mean, you're looking at some of the draws, you're like, they're going to have to kind of pull a little bit of an upset. And I think this might be one of their better chances of keeping that streak alive.
When they go out and wrestle, do they fly Jets fly?
No. Nah. So we'll move up 138. You have some. Luckily, Yorktown and Carroll didn't get put in the same quarter bracket, but they were both champs. But so our kid was very close to hitting another one. So we were 1-1 with the guy going in the championship match, and we won. So we could have drawn right into him again. Hicks from Carroll is in the top bracket. Him and Macklin should be a good match there. They have a lot of, similar results, and excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you. A lot of very similar, very close. One guy beat a kid by 2, the other beat him by 3. That type of stuff. So we'll see how that ends up. Owen Eveler from Northridge, another one of those kids that's kind of been under the radar all year long. Pretty much the whole Northridge team, other than Graber.
I feel like when you say under the radar, that's like a direct shot right at me. Mike not doing his job.
No, they just don't wrestle enough of the bigger schools and get those big names. That's how you get ranked. You get those results out there. But he's put together a pretty solid season. Him and Gutierrez from Belmont should be a good one. Gutierrez is solid. He can kind of be up and down. So you never know what you're going to get sometimes with him. He's staying from Yorktown after spending a year at Carmel. He's, from what everyone says, he's pretty much the real deal. Him and Lazier from Cherubusco might be a good one. Lazier and Yoder, the NECC rivalry. Yoder, I believe, beat him in a duel. So it should be a pretty good match there. And then the bottom half, or bottom quarter, that's one of those pick'ems that I'm looking at, and I'm like, I don't know who's going to win that, because you have a lot of names that you don't really recognize. The Trevino kid from Marion, I couldn't find much information on his losses and stuff, so he might be the favorite. I don't know. Macias kid from Southside, 4 losses, stays in good position, hard to score on, but once you open him up, you can score. It's a matter of, he might be able to sneak through there, and always good to see those Fort Wayne schools get a qualifier.
Yeah, Macias and Torino had like a ultimate tiebreaker 5-4, right?
Possibly, yes. It was hard to find losses for both of them, so that's all I.
Did I just scoop the Fort Wayne semi-state guys? Come on, guys.
Yeah, yes, it was 5-4.
Yes.
Maybe I missed that. So, Caleb, what's your take here?
I think this one is whoever comes ready to wrestle the most. I'll take High Stand, Hicks, Gutierrez, and Macias.
Ooh, I like it. Guys.
Gotta give some Southside Archer love. Southside hasn't had a state qualifier for a while, so it'd be good. You always kind of cheer for guys like that.
When they go out there to wrestle, do they yell Southside?
Nah.
Check.
If I was the coach of Fort Wayne Southside, that's exactly what we would say.
What's your take here, Mike?
I like Ethan Hicks, obviously, like not because you're on the show, but I think he's really good. He had some really nice wins. I'm really high. I mean, I didn't get to be on the show last night. I got kicked. I got booted for a new star, a rising star in Ed Pendowski. But he beat a really tough Lawrence Central kid that I have a lot of respect for. I think that kid's really good. And he beat him, so he's really solid. Gutierrez, I think you hit it on the nose. I think he's so up and down. It's tough to say. He had awesome Belmont main event, but looks like he was third at the regional. He stands there. But I got Grant going on there. Heenstand, obviously, if that's your name and you go to Yorktown, there's a pretty good chance that you're decent. He's pretty good. And then he got trained by Ed Pendosky last year. So, shout out to Easy Ed. I heard they got some really phenomenal coaching going on. Sounds like they're doing some groundbreaking stuff over there.
Jeter,
I was really high on them. I was high on the Welches. I didn't even know I had to, what's his name? Getter?
Yep. Yeah, Jeter. I don't, he's the Buddhist monk that plays his wood flute. So hopefully my phone's probably gonna blow up now with some Jeter train stuff. So
those guys
are watching.
And I'll go with Lorenzo Trevino, regional champ over Macias again, but I like the name Chaz Boyd. I might go Chaz Boyd. I'm picking it like NCAA, like girls pick NCAA Final Four brackets.
Nice. Yeah, should be. I mean, I'm looking at this way. Obviously, I have some vested interest in here. The Macklin's pretty tough. I know that one's going to be. He beat Gutierrez at sectional, which kind of set him up. I don't know which one. I don't know who got really the better draw. I think both of them have pretty solid draws, for getting second and third. So there was no easy one out of those two. So it should be interesting. Moving on, 145. This has a couple about three guys that are kind of the favorites here, and then the top quarter brackets like the bottom at 38. Kind of a pick 'em here. Eli Elkins from Eastern, Elias Young from Muncie Central, and Xavier Van Allen and Carlos Aguia from Garrett. That's an interesting quarter bracket. I actually went to school with Xavier's, both his mom and dad. They're actually Garrett people. So, and actually coached one of his uncles. So, you want to throw some, a lot of connections there. So
you have to turn in the region with everyone being related.
Yeah. So that should be an interesting quarter bracket. Alex Barr and Brady Wyro are 1-1 with each other. Barr beat him around Thanksgiving. Wyro beat him at Mooresville at around Christmas, and so I guess they meet up beginning, middle, and end of the season. So that's going to be a good one. That Xander Stroud is pretty solid.
I like that kid. That kid almost got in the rankings right at the end. I really like that kid. He wrestled a lot of 52 this year.
Yeah, he did. He beat our guy pretty handily, and our guy was pretty solid. He took it to him, which I was kind of surprised. I didn't expect our guy to get kind of throttled like that, but he has some good wins throughout the year. So we'll see where he ends up. That's a tough quarter bracket right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What's your take here, Mike, after, you're looking down here? Oh, you also have the Riley Rassler, Mason Winter match.
Yeah.
That's going to be – and Winter's legit. And he's one that, can't overlook. He's going to be well coached. The beard's going to take him out. I mean, going to, give him magical powers, almost kind of like Jeter-esque powers there. So – Go ahead,
how
Mike.
I top that? How do I top this breakdown you just given me? Bottom bracket, I think Joe Arney is really tough, and like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I don't want to say the Carroll guys, because Joe's my buddy, and he helps me do a lot of things in the sport. But Joe Arney is legit. He beat Jason Curry, region kid, and I have a ton of respect for the Craries. And if Joe Arney shows up to wrestle, he could win the semi-state, which would be amazing for the Carroll Superchargers in their team race. Mason Winter, Riley Rassler, brutal draw. I mean, that's just like one of those ones you don't want to see. I feel like there's been a million Zinks from Woodland. I could be wrong, but I feel like Woodland's had a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, all I've heard is how Mason Winter's the real deal, and as a freshman, he's well polished. And I know a lot of the guys on the youth board told me this is a kid that could be a medalist as a freshman at a middleweight. Riley Rassler, obviously, Al Smith runner-up. His only loss is the Casper McIntosh. I'm going to go with Rassler, but I wouldn't be shocked if Winter knocked him off there. But tough draw for both those guys. I really like Xavier Stroud, but Alex Barr seems like he's wrestling really well. I think Yorktown kind of had it tough because I think they had like 5 really good 138s, and they kind of had to spread them out over a couple weight classes. I think they've all wrestled 138 at one point or another in the season, on top of a women's world placer.
Just gonna say, yeah, they have a world placer that's world medalist that's not even in the lineup.
I didn't even say a girl. I said a woman because she's probably beat me right now, 35 years old. No, I think that shows the depth of that area in their room. Good spot for Barr. That Brady Wydro and Stroud match, I think it's gonna be really good. Brady Wydro beat Brooks Weathering from Jennings County, who I think is really good to state qualifier as a freshman. What has he got? 6 losses. And Eastern Greentown got a handful of freshmen that did pretty well, huh?
Yeah, there's some good freshmen out of there. There's some kids that are under the radar that they don't get a lot of love. They don't get too far out of that area. So definitely a team that's on the rise. I know they were they thought they had some good kids last year, and looks like they filled in some freshmen where their holes were. So they're gonna be tough for a few years.
They got some nice leaders in that room. So I'm gonna go Eli Elkins. I like that name. I'm gonna get one for Eastern Greentown here. I don't know enough about Garrett, and I know Xavier. You got a lot of family ties to Joe.
Yeah.
So I got Alex Barr. Even though I like Wydro and Stroud, hopefully those guys can kind of spread out a little bit next year. And Wrestler, and who did I go on the bottom with? Oh, I lost my bracket. Arnie, Joe Arnie.
Yeah. What's your take here, Caleb?
All right. I got Aguirre from the first quarter. I think I'm going to take Wyro or close match with Barr.
Mike, you writing these down? This is where he's getting you. This is where he's going to just run away with this.
I should start right now. Nah, he's probably playing me right now. You got to be careful because he's probably throwing these picks out. Then his bracket's going to look completely different. He's politicking right now. He's learning how to do it. He can't go against his sources. Wyro probably giving a lot of info. I like Homestead guys.
Go ahead, Caleb.
My first really big upset. Well, not sure if it's really big upset, but I have Winner over Wrestler. Winner going on to take the entire bracket.
Woo! Freshman taking it down.
Weird.
He's good.
Yeah. And then you have Arnie at the bottom. I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, he said he's not taking Arnie. He's taking the actual 4-over-1 Northwoods Jacob Chum Jr. 15-13, knocking off Joel Arnie. Tough break.
I hope that's not the case.
Have they wrestled, Joe?
No, they did not. They were both at the Wild Bill, and Arnie only had one match. He had a forfeit, and then Wyro broke his nose and didn't even wrestle in the finals. So he got one match for the whole day. He wasn't too happy. I volunteered to wrestle him, and he said no. So
can't even taking losses right now.
I know. Moving on, 152. Oh, that's why. Got some interesting matchups here. A couple minor upsets that almost. I mean, we got a little bit. I mean, we knew there was going to be some tough draws. You had Weimer and Kenny Kern in the same regional. And that they could have drawn into someone else. You also had Rudder and Tyler Leonard, who has had a pretty good couple years. Last year had some good wins and just didn't have the best postseason as he did regular season. Looks like he's putting it together this year. Leonard got rewarded with winning regional by drawing into Weimer, who looked fairly solid in the past few weeks, it sounds like. So should be interesting there. Hunter Reed from Columbia City. I think he was in the rankings for most of the year. I don't know if
he's still ranked, right?
I believe so. I'm not. I know he didn't like his ranking. I remember seeing a couple of tweets that he didn't like those. Oh goodness, Arnie just sent me a Snapchat. Can't wait to hear what this says. But Hunter Reed and Garrett Griffin. Griffin, I think he's been in the tick around about 16 times over his career, it seems. So that should be a pretty good one. He's pretty solid. And then obviously Rudder got a little bit better draw when Corbin Hetzner moved up. So Hetzner's I think he's decent. I think he's solid. Another Eastern Greentown kid. So in the bottom half, you have Kern, who's pretty darn tough. Chandler Wankers had a pretty solid season for Lures. Not a good draw for him. So Mike, we'll let you talk this time.
Yeah, I like Dylan Torbush too. I like that bottom bracket. I don't know Jake Steele, so not a disrespectful thing to Jake Steele, but I like Kenny Kern there. But I like that Dylan Torbush, Westdell. Is that Westerndell or is it just Westdell?
Just Westdell.
Okay. I like Kern coming out of there. Colt Rudder and Corbin Hetzner. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Tough one early on. I don't like to bet against the Levis brothers. Those guys can roll. I mean, 31-13. I know Prairie Heights wrestles a lot of solid teams, but I feel like those Levitz kids are bobbers. You can get into a rolling match with them and end up on your back really quick. I like Colt there. Colt's tough as nails, man. Just really a solid grinding kid. Get in your face, won't back down. I don't think they wrestle a monster schedule. I like him there. Did Garrett Griffin? No, it was Leonard and Reed. I like Garrett Griffin's tough. I think I've always left Al Smith thinking that he's a really tough kid, but Hunter Reed, that's going to be a tall order. 34-1. I know his only loss is to Weimer. And then I'm going to take Tyler Leonard over Weimer there. I like Jay County kid. I know he got a couple losses at Connorsville, but he got a text saying he looked really tough at the regional champ. Beat Cole Rudder, right?
Yeah. No, that's gonna be a good take around tussle. Definitely looking
Take around tussle.
Weimer's it depends on how he wrestled 60 a lot of this year, and then he should have been at 52, but I didn't know if he was going to drop, and all of a sudden you see him at like conference back down to 52. So East Noble doesn't drop guys very often, so that's why I was kind of surprised. So he's tough. He's very mat savvy and knows how to push the action at the right time. So that should be an interesting match. Caleb, were you at the regional on Saturday?
Yeah.
How did
I had to leave before the final round?
So you didn't get to see Weimer and Kearney?
No.
Nah, okay. Work. You gotta tell them. You're big time now. You can't miss work for wrestling. I mean, wrestling is important. Dude, do you need me to write you a note, like a doctor's note, or?
Don't worry. Next two Fridays and Saturdays.
Good. So what's your take here? Obviously, I know you're gonna ride your boy Kearney to the championship. Obviously, I probably would too. He looks pretty tough. Even with his dad being a Britney Spears fan, a very big Britney Spears fan.
No.
Come on, Joe. Who didn't see carpool karaoke with Britney Spears?
I don't know. Go ahead, Caleb.
Yep, definitely got Kern navigating the way through. I'll take Rudder over Hetzner. I think I had Bratcher originally in that bracket. Sadly, he's no longer going to be competing. I think Reed will make it to the finals, and he actually had a win over Kern at Folkstyle State last year, fall, so he could be an upsetter. And I'll take Weimer in the top bracket.
Yeah.
Is Reed a thrower? I feel like Columbia City gets some throwers going.
No, he's pretty solid in every position. You're just thinking of what's his name?
Chad Holland.
No, yes. Who's the one that just graduated last year at 20?
Hunter Langlo.
Langlo will throw you rather than know you.
Didn't they have some bigger kids like back in the mid 2000s that were kind of throwers too?
They had a 125, 130 pounder that was pretty tough. That would just throw you out of every position. He'd go to his back to put you to your back. He was right there with Angel and Perky.
Shoot. Who are you talking? Who?
shoot, what's his name? I'd have to look. I mean, Blaine Culp he's their head coach now.
You're not talking about Blaine, right?
No. Shoot, what's his name? I'm gonna have to look it up. What is that name? Oh crap! I mean, we talk about him all the time because he was fun to watch. I wouldn't have wanted to coach him, but he was fun to watch. Let's see, that would have been Thunder. Chad just sent me a message. Thunder and Lightning. What was that? Meineke. There it is.
Yeah, Meineke.
Chad's pulling out with the messages here. Kyle Meineke. Yeah, that kid would throw you and rather not know you. Pretty entertaining wrestler, that's for sure. But no, Reed's pretty solid. Sticks with normal stuff. So
it's normal if it works. And
yeah.
Kyle Meineke ran that to a medal.
Yes, yeah, he was third place, and I'd have liked to see because he lost to the Johnson kid from Yorktown in the semifinals, and Johnson got the privilege of wrestling Angel Escobedo.
Eric Johnson. Yeah,
Eric Johnson. Yep, man, we're pulling out some random names, but I'd have loved to see Meineke and Angel because at one time Meineke will put you on your back, whether it's a split second or for eternity, but he was fun to watch. So moving up after we go old school early 2000s, 160 Brad Laughlin, nationally ranked, state number 1. He had really kind of broke out nationally this fall. Had a great IPO, beat a ranked guy there, then pretty manhandled the guy in the finals. I remember watching that, and I was like, wow. I mean, obviously we knew Laughlin was pretty tough anyway. And then had a real good Super 32. Jed Levitz, you like those Levitz brothers. Those kids will rather throw you sometimes than know you. And they'll head hunt from every position possible. Tough kids, hard nosed. They'll bale some hay for you if you need any hay baled. So,
do they really bale hay, or are you just throwing that around? I'm
pretty certain that there's a farm literally on the campus of Prairie Heights. Literally, they have a farm. They have a barn, cows, and goats and whatever on there. They have like a huge campus.
Those are good guys, man. I like those guys.
Yeah,
I like the Prairie Height guys.
Yeah, they're good guys. So, and he has a tough one with Javier Johnson from Fort Wayne. He's had a pretty decent schedule. He's pretty tough, solid, big and strong. So that could be a contrast of styles right there.
I heard he has heavy hands. Is that true?
He only has one. He hasn't developed a second heavy hand.
Shout out to the general now.
Yes. He's back in Iowa. Hopefully he's watching. He's my buddy. Going down, Delton Moore has had a pretty good season for Manchester. He runs into Tony Bussey, who is pretty darn tough. And then the bottom quarter, Nick Potter from New Haven. Lynn's Prodigy's already ripping the article apart. I'm gonna have to have a talk with him. Should be a pretty good quarter bracket down there. Tykees Baker dropped late. He's pretty tough. He's probably saw him at 70 and he was pretty big. At 60, I bet he's pretty darn big. And then you have a Hemmelgarn from Jay County. There's only 74 of them, all brothers. If you remember, they had a brother that it was a heavyweight. That was pretty tough.
Yeah, he was about 7 foot tall.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain I think they bale hay too. So if there's it could, if this is a hay baling competition, I'm putting Levitz and Hemmelgarn in the finals and letting them bale some hay. So, Caleb, what's your take here?
I got Laughlin's one of the few locks that I have for the semi-state. I think Laughlin should navigate pretty easily. Gonna go with Levitz. Looking forward to his match with Johnson in the take it round. Bussy, and that last quarter bracket's tough, but I'm picking Potter.
Ooh, I like it, Caleb. I kind of agree. I don't think anyone has anything for Laughlin. I've been super impressed with him all year. I feel like he's really hitting his stride, and Joe kind of touched on that too. Not only on the state level, but the national level. Only lost to Van Horn, where he bumped up. The scary thing for me with Jed Levitz, because I've always been a Jed Levitz fan, is he kind of gets pops around a lot. And I haven't seen Javier Johnson, but sometimes if you start rolling and scrambling a lot, big strong guys can catch you and pin you. So if he's a big strong guy, that would be kind of make me nervous. But I got Levitz there. I haven't seen Manchester. Tony Bussey. Tony Bussey's been there forever. I think he's really good. I think he punches his ticket again. At the bottom, man, I like Nick Potter too, but Baker's solid, and he's a big, strong kid. I got Bussey in the finals against Levitz, or not Levitz, Laughlin. I don't think anyone goes with Laughlin.
Yeah, that's pretty consensus. Laughlin's probably one of the better guys. Actually, probably another guy that's a contender for a state title. Can't get Fort Wayne can't get shut out. We're gonna have 4 or 5.
4 or 5 state titles.
4, yeah. Mark it down. Write that down right now.
It's written down. Which 4 or 5?
We're going. We can go 106.
Yeah.
160. Where else should I go?
The Gimson bros. Come on, give them some love.
Yeah, Gimson has. Gimson's pretty
Jobbing
solid.
right.
Yeah, we got 285. We got a couple guys. Lawson can pin anyone in the state. Looks like so.
Yeah, he has a really tough guy in the semi-state, but yeah, I like it.
Yeah, or I mean, you got Ellis or Lawson. I mean, you got two-headed monster there. So, and then I mean, you got a lot of good kids there. I'm not gonna say 220. Yeah. I think that Paris kid's decent. So,
hey, don't sell him short. Keep it going, man. I like it. I like the confidence.
Yeah, we're gonna surprise some people when we get 4 state champs. That board's just gonna say Fort Wayne, is the best, and
that would be the day this board would melt down.
All the region.
That's the day you quit the site and just everyone goes to log out and shut down. That was what we've been waiting for all these years.
Yes. No, I think the region would lose about half its population due to suicide.
Yeah, I feel like we're secondary right now. I don't feel like we're bringing the heat like the county is. We need to step our trash talk game up.
Yeah, definitely. They're setting the bar high now.
We're going to have to get some real rascals. I'm going to have to go back and get some old timers back on this board.
Nice. We move up to 170. This is a pretty good weight class. 3 guys pretty much the head of the class here, and all should be really good matches. I'm kind of looking forward to these. You got Tristan Goring, was a state 4th place finisher a couple years ago, qualifier last year. Jordan Rader was a qualifier 2 years ago. And then you have Bryce Bumgarner, 3-time qualifier. He needs to get that medal. Definitely pulling for him to get his medal if he gets past Slofer. I think Slofer's going to pull out something out of the bag of tricks, maybe. Then then you have a pick'em. It's kind of the theme here. It seems at Fort Wayne you have about 3 decent favorites, and then you have a quarter bracket where it's kind of a pick'em where you can probably pick 3 or 4 guys and not really have a bad, that's not a bad pick. So, Mike, what's your take here?
Ooh, starting it off. I'm going to give some love to the East Chicago region. Semi-state sending a kid to the Fort Wayne side.
Darn it.
We had a bet going. I said if both Gorings made it out, and if Demeen doesn't make it out of East Chicago, that the talk is dead. But Brighton got upset at the regional. Anytime a East Chicago ranked semi-state guy loses at Fort Wayne, it's so upset to me. No, I'm not as meat-headed as that. Tristan Goring is really tough, man. He's exciting. He's excitable. Is that the word I'm looking for? He likes a tough match, so hopefully those guys go at him because he makes it very exciting. I like Goring. I like Rader. I think that'd be a nice semifinal. Brady Peace. I like him also from Delta. I haven't seen Contreras. I haven't seen Minnick, but I like Peace from Delta and Rader and the tick around there. But I like Rader and Goring up top. I like Brody Hardcastle. What's Brody's Hardcastle like? Brody, it's like rolling bees or something. I like Hardcastle.
Nice.
31-4. I think he's pretty solid, and I like Baumgartner. To me, is Bryce gonna get gonna get that medal. You know, and not to harp on a kid because obviously that's a kid, but that was a guy I knew as like a seventh grader that was gonna come in and make some noise, and I think he's been looking for that medal, so he's got that Eric Keith going right now. Like Eric Keith was qualified as a freshman, qualified as a sophomore, qualifier as a junior, got splatted by Oak Hill Friday night as a junior, and then won a state title as a senior. I think Bryce is that type of competitor. It's just going to be, where his game's at and where his confidence is at. Shout out to the Mambas, right?
Oh yeah.
So
he's real tough. I mean, yeah, he was a former gorilla too. So I mean, you got a lot of gorillas here.
I got a Goring, Baumgartner, Raider, Hardcastle.
Yeah. Caleb, what's your take here?
Honestly, I got all four the same as Mike. Got Goring, Raider, Hardcastle, and Baumgartner. I think Baumgartner wins the whole thing and gets his first state medal.
Yeah, definitely. Belmont's had a little bit of a drought. They're a tough program, really well coached, great coaches, nice guys for the most part until they beat you. So
I like those guys, man. I like Belmont.
Yeah, they're good guys. Good salt of the earth program and people there. So it's you gotta root for teams like that. Should be some interesting matches. Even in the ticket round, Goring can be up and down, and he's tough as nails when he's on, and so him and Raider I think is gonna be a good semifinal match. I think they both have kind of that physical style, in your face. It could be interesting because they're both. I've seen them both in person. They're both very, very physical, so you could see some extra pushing and things like that. Hopefully, you have a ref on there that will won't let it get out of hand. You don't want to see anyone get DQ'd at that level, so that would be horrible. So that's what.
But there's a possibility of that.
Yes, there is.
I really like, and just to kind of shout out, I know I like to do shout outs all the time. Goring's parents are awesome. I sat with them at the Al Smith. I talked to his mom at the Trikoff. They're really good people. I'm happy that he was able to compete. I know there was some stuff. He had transferred schools. Not all transfers get to go through. I'm happy that he gets to compete because I think that they're a pretty good family.
Yeah. Definitely. And I think that Jonathan Johnson, I got to see him for the first time this weekend. Him and Hardcastle, even that Coy Blogget, going to be a good little quarter bracket there. Johnson's pretty solid. A lot of those New Haven from 60 through 220 is pretty good. You can't overlook a guy like that. New Haven's wrestled some pretty solid kids. They went down to North Montgomery and wrestled some pretty good teams there. So moving up 182, a lot of good. This is another pretty solid weight class. A lot of good matches here. Joey Blakely, returning state placer, placed 8th. He's not going to have an easy way to punch another ticket to state. He has Blaney Harrison from Oak Hill, who has only 2 losses. And then you go down, looks like probably the best, you could say the top 2 guys in this weight are in the top half. Jacob Gray only has 2 losses to Nathan Walton. Gray was a former 2-time gorilla, great kid.
Pembroke City.
Yes. He has a pretty interesting quarter bracket. Deshaun Barberry's pretty solid. Those Kokomo kids, they lift weights. They're always jacked. I always look at them like, holy cow, they're big, and they lift weights. And then going down, Stephen Nix from Dwenger, the Saints. Preet will be a good match. Preet's a pretty tough freshman, a little undersized, but obviously, you never count out a Belmont guy in that ticket round, and that should be a good match. And then the bottom half, or the bottom quarter, is going to be an interesting matchup. Connor Graber and Noah Kressel. Graber just took his first loss to Blakely. Kressel's one loss. Yeah, Kressel's one loss is to Graber. So you got a little revenge going on here. Kressel's had a good season. He looks pretty solid. So I know Kressel's probably been in the rankings pretty much all year long. So I assume he's still in there. We'll let Caleb analyze this a little bit. Tell us what he's thinking.
I got Jacob Gray taking the whole thing. That Graber Kressel take around is going to be a good one. I think the winner of that will be the runner-up to Gray. Take Blakely in his bracket. And give me Nix. Give me Nix in a tight match over Freet.
Mike, what's
We're
your
throwing the qualifiers together, right? Fort Wayne City. Man, tough draw for Blaney there. I don't think Blakely is undefeatable. Like, is that the word? I don't know. But I think Blaney could wrestle with almost anybody. So that's going to be a pick 'em for me. I got Blakely advancing, but I wouldn't be shocked if Blaney knocks him off there. Gray, I think, is the class of the field. I think he's been there. He's been tight with Walton. Tough draw for Deshaun. I think Deshaun Brawberry is really good, but I think Jacob Gray is going to be really good on his feet. I think Kokomo does a really nice job. I have Freet advancing over Nix. Being undersized, I think that kid's been on the mat forever. And I got Graber into the finals, but I think he's going to lose to Jacob Gray.
Yeah, Graber's had one of those, obviously the breakout season. We've talked about it before. He had a brother that was a 2-time runner-up, and he kind of just, started getting some results and like, oh, he beat him. Oh, get 2 or 3 of those guys. Okay, we're gonna, you don't jump, throw him at number 1 in the state, but then all of a sudden he had some pretty good wins, beating Blakely. He beat Blakely when they wrestled during the regular season pretty handily. Definitely one of those guys that, come next week, if he punches his ticket, obviously, come next week might be playing spoiler like his brother did a couple years in a row. His brother still, even after he was runner-up his junior year, people kind of were putting him to the side. Oh, he's not as good, and end up, making it under the lights twice.
Yeah, Connor Graber had a monster year. He beat Moser, the one-loss kid out of Bremen. That's a 95. He bumped up and beat him. He beat Goring. Goring bumped up and lost to him. I'm trying to pull up his notable wins. Someone sent me all of his notable wins at one point. It was like, wow. Beat Blakely, beat Mosher, beat Kressel, beat Barbary, beat Leonard, beat Moore, beat Nate LaFreeze. So a lot of guys that you're seeing picked in the other semi-states, he has wins over.
Yeah, and he bumped up a couple times to get some of those wins too. So that's impressive also.
Joe also told me he bales hay, so I guess we make steel, you guys make hay.
Yes, we're more in the hay industry over this area. Moving up, 195. You have David Eli. It looks like probably the best 2 guys. David Eli and Caleb Hankinson are opposite sides. Eli's a 2-time placer, former Gorilla. Nice kid. They're all nice kids. Good kids.
Which one's a bad kid?
We won't talk about those. We're not like that. After those 2 quarter brackets, it's a pretty nice little pick 'em here. I'll comment on that Dalen Hart from Wayne. I saw him for the first time. My boss, his son wrestles for Lures actually, and is actually wrestling Hankinson, and he kind of keeps me up on some of the SAC rumblings since we don't get too far into the city. And he's like, that Hart kid is big and strong. And I saw him, and he just sits in the stands like, shoot at me, I dare you. And then he'll spin around. He's a freak athlete. I want him on my side if there's a fight because he looks like he's tough. Definitely one that he could play spoiler. I mean, he would if he makes it to the semis, he could give Hankinson some fits. I think Hankinson obviously has some technique on his side, but Hart is he's big, and he's
bigger than Hankinson because Hankinson's pretty big too.
He's a little bit shorter, and just as thick, if not a little bit thicker. And you look at a couple of his losses. He has some decent losses. He had one kind of fluky loss, and then the other 2 he lost to. He actually did lose to Hankinson earlier in the year, and then he lost to Ben Stewart. So 2 of those losses are pretty legit. So I mean, obviously Hankinson solved him once. He's Hart, I think, he's probably only been wrestling for a few years. It would be my guess. So, a full season under his belt might be a little bit different story. So, with that, I'll let Caleb talk about this weight.
Same resounding opinion. It'll most likely be Eli versus Hankinson in the finals. I got Hart as well. Hankinson does have a tough take-around match with 34 and Sedgwick, though. He could bust some brackets. That last quarter is kind of a pick-em as well. Herrera, Watson, and Brown all making it through, but I'm going to go with Herrera from Kokomo for that last spot.
Yeah, the Prairie Heights, 12 losses from a Prairie Heights guy on their schedules, that still means they're pretty solid guys. He did win 35 matches on that schedule too, so he's pretty solid. I've heard good. I guess that's not the Yorktown guy that I was thinking about, but obviously Yorktown kid's gonna be well coached, been around the block. They wrestle a good schedule too, so don't ever you can't count out guys from programs like that in there. Mike, what's your take here?
I'm over here Googling Dylan Hart, trying to see how big this guy is. Now if he's not a mountain, I'm going to be upset. This is Shakir Carr all over again. McGill told me Shakir Carr was 8 foot tall if he wasn't an inch, and I think he grew every single week. So now he looks like a pretty athletic, fit kid. It's tough because I don't really know a lot of those guys, but that could be the new Knez Omar.
Oh yeah, Knez actually. If you want to get even more, Knez was at regional, just yelling up a storm for him right by the as close as they could get to the mat, and they're just him and one of their other former guys was just yelling up a storm, and it was they were calling for stalling. Like the kid just steps on the line, that's stalling. It's pretty funny, and Jeff Colborn was there. He was the assistant. And he looked over. He was smiling because he wasn't reffing, but he was just smiling at him. I mean, they're getting into it. It's pretty cool. A lot of fun.
And there wasn't a stall call with Jeff Colburn there.
Colburn was the assistant. So.
Oh, all right. Because I was going to say that doesn't sound like Jeff Colburn at all.
No. Oh no. The next match he called a few stall calls. Well.
Yeah, I like that guy. The general. How can you not like the general?
Go ahead, Mike.
Hankinson. He's tough, man. That's a tough. I like Michael Leonard too. I see Michael Leonard. I feel like I've always been really impressed with him. I haven't seen Aaron Sedgwick 34-2. Obviously, if you could find 34 people to beat and you only lose to 2 of them, you're probably tough. But I'm gonna go with Hankinson there. Hankinson over Hart on the top. David Eli, obviously, tough draw for Isaiah Baumgartner. David Eli, that's probably the one draw he really doesn't want. David Eli's a beast, and he's been a beast for a while. I would be willing to bet he has not a lot of losses, and I bet a handful of them are to Davison.
Yeah, he's lost only a few times, and I guarantee all of his career losses are to really legit guys. State placer as a sophomore at 170, 182, so he's legit.
That's Eric McGill's second favorite 195. He loves him some David Eli. Nice. I don't even know if he knows David Eli, but if David Eli is watching, Eric McGill, 2-time state champ, is a huge fan.
Wow.
Yeah. The bottom pick him. I'm gonna go with the Kokomo kid, regional champ, 33-6. You said Kokomo knows how to lift weights. They're well coached. I think that he'll advance. Yeah,
Coach Wells there does a great job. They always have. I mean, like I said, those kids, especially those upper weights, are just jacked, and they look like they should be about 2 weight classes higher.
Coach Wells isn't very small himself.
No. And then what's the They had a big guy that was a 95 a few years ago that he looked like a barrel.
Remember they had a dude that was like a 170, and he was just like thick.
Yep. It was.
He actually has YouTube fighting videos, but in the streets.
Nice. Who was it? I'm pulling it up. We're pulling up random names out of nowhere.
This is how the show goes, guys. Caleb, welcome to the Hangout.
Yes. Kier Ross. That's who you're thinking of.
Kier Ross.
That kid was big.
If you go to YouTube, Kier Ross got hands for real. He'll
Nice.
outrun you, out-wrestle you, and he can knock you out. That's not what I want to hear.
Yes, you have no recourse there. And then they had a 95-pounder, about 2012, Bo Butler. He's one of their. He's been an assistant. I don't know if he's still the assistant there, but that dude was big. The bench press machines get worn out at Kokomo. They probably have to replace those like every other month.
I'm going with Gavin Herrera, but I got David Eli for the title over Hankinson, and then sounds like we're gonna have a bench press for third and fourth.
Nice. Yeah, I should. I mean, I haven't seen the Kokomo guys this year, but I'm not gonna doubt that they're not well. They spend that time in the weight room. Always.
I'm actually friends with Deshaun Barberry on Twitter. He follows me on Twitter, and he's still pretty fit.
Nice. Moving up, 220 light guys, light heavyweights. A lot of good matches here. A lot of interest, lot of intrigue here. Top quarter, Austin Evans and JT Kilgore. Heard that the Yorktown won 220. Holden Parsons is pretty solid. So Evans isn't, he's not gonna have an easy first round. Evans and Kilgore are 1-1 with each other. They're both like 1 point overtime matches. That's gonna. I mean, that's it's just an interesting match there. That the neck battling it out for a state berth, which is is good for them. Nick Fox, another Kokomo big guy, probably lifts weights. Him and Gavin Hare should be a good one. Hare's had a pretty good season from Jay County. He beat Kilgore. That's probably the draw he kind of wanted maybe. And I think him and Fox, from what I've seen, I think him and Fox might be fairly similar build, kind of the shorter, stocky guys. So that could be an interesting tick-around match. Going down, you have Trenton Bixler from Northridge. He had a pretty good did he sneak into the rankings maybe a year or two ago? Or at least he was like on the watch. Maybe it was just for Fort Wayne. But I know he had some good wins, and I don't think he wrestled the state series, or maybe didn't even wrestle all last year. Something like that. I know he's missed some time. Had some good wins. Him and possibly McKeever from Carroll, that should be a good one. And then bottom quarter, you have the only two guys that have been to state, Corbin Maddox and Beck Davis possibly. Davis has a tough Max Clark, who only has one loss on his season. So a lot of good matches here. I put in the preview, all four of these take-around matches are going to be good ones. So this will make or break your pick'ems, Caleb. So you better get them right.
This one almost gave me a name.
What's your how do you see this one shaking out? I mean, this could be like there's so many different combinations of victories here that it could be interesting.
I'll get the most obvious one out of the way. I think Corbin Maddox is probably gonna be the champ, but Beck Davis and Max Clark, this is a tough bracket. And I got Corbin Maddox moving up, Keever over Bixler. Gavin Hare and Kilgore making it to the finals from the top half.
Yeah, those are just all. And I think that Am Schultz and Fox match should be pretty good too. Am Schultz, had some good. You have a pretty solid regional when you have Kilgore, McKeever, and Davis right there. So 4 out of there is not a no slouch by any means. No,
I think great move by Corbin Maddox going to 220. I think that was an amazing move for him. Not that I don't think he competes at 95, but he's a great athlete, and I think there's some really good athletes at 95. I think he wins the semi-state here. I know he's a great center fielder. He's going to go to college, play baseball, which I got respect for. I think if you can play college baseball, it's pretty tough. Good student, good kid. Really came on the scene last year. That was a great move for him going 220. I know there was some talk about Hankinson going 220 also. I don't think that it would have been a disservice for him either to be at 220, but I like Maddox there. I know he's going to score points. He's going to come at you. He's gonna get a lot of takedowns. He is really tough. Tough draw for Beck there. Trinity State qualifier. I know he's had some injuries. That's the Fort Wayne Fowlers. They're all big kids too.
Yep.
But I got Corbin there. Bixler and McKeever. McKeever, I haven't seen Bixler. I mean, obviously, Joe kind of talked him up a little bit. McKeever, runner-up at the Al Smith. We won't talk about that. No, just joking. I joke, but he is a tough kid. That's a toss-up. I really don't know. I've only seen McKeever, so I'll go McKeever. Gavin Hare, all I heard about Gavin Hare is he's a grinder. He will grind and go at you for 6 minutes, which you got to respect that, especially at a bigger weight. And I know Jay County gets around. They've been out of state. They go down to Connorsville. Nick Fox, 34 and 5. I got Gavin Hare going there. And then Holden Parsons was a middle school state champ, so him and Austin Evans off top is a tough one. But, I mean, that's such a tough spot for a freshman to be at 220. 13 losses in Yorktown's schedule isn't anything to be like, oh, man, it's 13 losses, you know. But Evans and Kilgore 1-1 against each other. Go with Lakeland, man. I hope he dyes his hair blue, too, like the 106-pounder Long did a couple years ago.
Yeah. If you want to see a fun match, there's the Burn Witness on Facebook. Go to find the AC finals, and you'll see Gavin Hare wrestled he bumped up to heavyweight for the ACAC championship and wrestled the heavyweight from Adams Central. That kid is all of 285 and probably he's 6'2", 6'3" at least. And Hare is 5'8", 5'9" maybe. And sounds like he's probably maybe 200, 210 at the very most. He doesn't look very big. Obviously, this guy's gonna drown him, but Hare ends up just outworking him, just running circles around him, and he gave up a takedown and right back up, but then he ends up catching him, putting him and pinning him about 2 or 3 seconds left in the match. It was a fun match to watch, and the announcers they do a good job with that. The Burn area, they're going to do the semi-state again. They look like they sound like they're like us. They have a lot of fun, and they were just oh my goodness, this is the match of the tournament, and you can hear the crowd going nuts. It's at Jay County, so. Find that. I might have, find that link. It's pretty fun to watch. Hare, I always got a lot of respect for a kid to do that.
You have a guy that does announcing. I never heard him spoke highly like that of him.
Wow.
I have it Maddox and Hare in the finals. I got a text that said Maddox beat Hare 20-6. So I'm gonna go with Maddox. I think even if he closes the gap, I think there's enough of a gap there for Maddox to win that. Holden Parsons can really shake this up, though. That could be like a team-winning clincher if he can knock off Evans and Kilgore. But they said Kilgore's a big, strong kid.
Yeah, I don't know if he bails hay, Busco kind of. But I know he lifts weights. I know his strength coach extraordinaire.
I should go with JT Kilgore because he's coached by a guy that almost has a similar name to what I have.
Yes, very similar, but definitely different ends of the spectrum. I'll say that much. As far as likability,
throwing some shade. I'm not likable. That's ridiculous. No, McKeever and either Kilgore, whoever wins that top one, I'll go with McKeever after that. And I don't think anyone touches Corbin Maddox here. If we're going, we don't have Ford. What is it? The Veterans Coliseum. I don't really have a catchy name for that.
The War Memorial. I don't know.
The War Memorial Locks. I would say Maddox.
Warlocks. The War Memorial Warlocks.
Warlocks. I got Maddox probably about as close to a lock as there is.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not gonna disagree there. Hopefully McKeever has something for him. McKeever, he's a kid that'll step it up. So. Yeah, hopefully we gotta get through. We gotta get through Bixler. Like I said, he's tough. I think that might be a little bit better matchup for us there. I think.
Stop pushing all the Carroll guys on us.
So we'll see. You got a lot of work to do before we go there. Moving up, the big guys. Got a lot. We knew going in this there could be some ugly draws. You had 2 runner-ups that were going to be pretty solid. You have that of Braden Shaw. You knew the Shaw versus Rhodes loser. It's going to be a tough out there. And then Perkins versus Ellis. Ellis has dominated him, but Perkins is coming in as a 2. I know Lawson coming in as a champ. You have a 2/3 chance of running into a pretty solid guy. and he got blessed by the bracket gods, so to speak. So he's looking fairly solid in his quarter bracket, and Rhodes and Perkins are going to be a good one. I think Rhodes, I haven't really seen him wrestle, but I've seen a lot of the scores, and he'll keep it close, and he'll find his opportunities to score and win those close matches. Perkins been to state twice. Going down, Evan Ellis and Braden Shaw. Ellis obviously going to Brown. He's kind of smart. I think him and Byman are going to have a math-a-thon during lunch break.
Intellectual approach to politics.
Yes.
Debate.
Yeah, Harvard versus Brown. That'll be interesting, But Shaw and Ellis. Shaw's big dude. That kid has a head that is just like ginormous. He's hard to wrestle.
Do you feel like he likes it when you say that, though? I mean, I got a head on me, so I'm offended, kind of. But, like, you think that I'm really close to the camera, but actually my head's really big.
Your head really is as big as that blanket.
Yeah. So, Braden Shaw, I got a feeling for you, man. It's hard to buy fitted hats now.
Nice. And then the bottom quarter, as the theme is with Fort Wayne, it's a pick 'em. It's actually some pretty solid kids. Dakota Alt had a pretty good season. He's solid. Only losses are to Lawson and Ellis. And then Nick Connors had a really good season for Elkhart Central. I know he placed at the Al Smith. Pretty good kid. That's going to be a good ticket round match. I know Lawson's wrestled both of them, so it's hard to really, he's had good matches with both of them. So it should be an interesting bottom quarter bracket. Caleb, what's your take here?
I'm taking Ellis to win the bracket, and I'm picking Ellis to be the heavyweight state champ as well.
Woo!
Boom!
I see that going. I see him going against them rankings. All right, I see you.
Throw some shade on Mike. This is like Mike. We're roasting you this today.
No, got me.
You're never gonna want to do the Fort Wayne one again.
I'm coming.
I like Evan Ellis too, man. I think that's more of a highest placing kid in that weight returning. I wouldn't sleep on Isaiah McWilliams though, for real.
Yeah.
Look tough the past 2 years I've seen him.
Yeah, Ellis is two-time gorilla too, and obviously Lawson was a gorilla too. So,
do you want Isaiah McWilliams? We can probably make that happen.
Yeah, I'm working on that one. Isaiah, you listening? Call me up.
Can you leave your phone number right on the page so he can get a hold of you?
Nah, I think I actually have contacted him once about something. So, he knows my number. We'll talk. I'll see him next week.
How big is Evan? How big is Evan this year, honestly?
I think he's about 240, 250. I think he cut a little bit for 220 the past couple of years. And then has, I won't say let out of control, but he hasn't had to cut it. So I know his dad's a pretty big guy. So he has the room to grow and has he has a frame to build on. So I think he's not going to be 284.5 like Jesse was today, but he's going to be a bigger kid, and he relies a lot on athleticism and good movement, good solid takedowns. So I think he'll be all right there. Go ahead.
I think Jesse will make it to the finals to face Ellis. Have Lawson there. I'm going to take Rhodes in a tight match over Perkins. And that last bracket, I think I'm taking Alt.
Yeah, those are all good picks. I know. I think Perkins might just qualify in even years, maybe for state. So we'll see if
he's playing like the Giants.
Yes. Mike, what's your take here?
I got the big guy, Big Jesse, in the top bracket. He looked awesome at the Al Smith. I wish I could be there. If I could shoot out the Fort Wayne to see him qualify and see Joe give me a big fist pump, that'd be great. No, I guarantee I don't know Jesse's parents, but I don't know if they get as happy as Joe does when he wins. I like Jacob Rhodes. I think Jacob Rhodes has been underrated all year, honestly. I think that there was a ranking where I came out and Todd Larson sent me a message from Avon, was like, hey, like you're sleeping on the Yorktown kid. He had a good win. Like he probably needs to be in the rankings. I went back and looked at it. I was like, yeah, I think he had beat Bryce Biddle at Mooresville. I think Jacob's the real deal. No offense to Owen Perkins. I think I got Jacob Rhodes to the finals. I know we're on the show, Joe, but I think that I've been sleeping on Jacob Rhodes a little bit this year. But I think both those guys are really tough. This is not a draw a lot of semi-states are going to want to have for Friday night. I know we like to clown Fort Wayne. It's we like to joke. I think this is a really deep weight for them. I like Evan Ellis, but that's why I was asking, because I think Braden Shaw is a big kid. He's a big, tough kid. 31-6. I don't think he's terrible. I think that he's actually really good. And he beat Gio Murillo, who I have a lot of respect for. I think he's really good. Cordell Camp, kind of tough draw. I know he's undersized because he was a 220 at one point this season until Beck came back. Ellis and Shaw probably the best ticket. I guess Perkins, but don't sleep on Shaw and Belmont. But I got Ellis there to the finals. I got Rhodes second, Jesse third, and Dakota Alt. Dakota Alt was a couple years. Was he undefeated coming into the sectional before or no?
No, he had that one loss to it originally had him undefeated, but they didn't have the loss to Ellis the week before or a couple.
Who was the big guy that was always undefeated going into sectionals? He was like a Fort Wayne kid. I don't see him. He got hurt this year, right?
Oh, Dakota had a younger brother, or I guess no, he's an older brother that's at Northrop. Heath Alt, that was at 182, 195. He was 82 last year. He's 95 this year. Broke his ankle around Christmas time and pretty bad from what he was saying. So wasn't able to finish the season. And he was pretty solid. He had been, he probably could have been a regional champ there. At pretty solid weight class. So tough to see him go out that way. It seems like a pretty nice kid. I've heard he said he was going to Wabash to wrestle, which that's I've heard good things about that program. A couple kids there.
Shout out to the little Giants.
Yep. So it should be a good. I like the heavyweight. I just hope Fort Wayne and Evansville don't match up Friday night, because those are probably two of the areas that have the some of the better. I mean, I think all the heavyweight regional semi-states are pretty tough, but I think Fort Wayne and Evansville, top to bottom, that you could see a 3-4 from both of them win that first round match, and then the 1s and 2s if they match up.
Chicago have Isaiah Streck, Murillo probably, and that's it. Toss up. I don't even remember who I picked, guys. It's been a long week.
Yes, it has. But yeah, there's some good heavyweights. That Friday night heavyweight, heavyweight's one of those weights where anything can and will happen. It's like McWilliams last year was a 4 coming out, ends up 3rd in the state or 4th in the state. So that's one of those things you could easily see that happen this year with all the 4s. There's gonna be some good 4s coming out. With that, any comments on the semi-state, Caleb? Any shout outs to any secret rankings, people that have helped you out? You're going to give we need to show the video. This is the question. We should have started out with this. Has anyone here taken down Mark Hall, the Mark Hall from Penn State?
Let's even go even one bigger than that. Has anyone here taken down the number 1 ranked guy in the country?
Oh, I think that's Caleb there.
All me.
I mean, I'm speechless. I mean, we did pull up the video. There is a video on YouTube of that epic match, and gotta give respect to the guy that can take down Mark Hall.
Getting hit a mixer on him, that was beautiful.
Somebody go maybe 15% and still have one of the tightest cradles I've ever felt in my life.
He's really good.
Yeah.
Very good.
There's been a lot of people that got put in that cradle, Caleb. There's no shame in that.
Down first, though.
Yes, you did.
If it went to criteria first takedown, you got him.
Yeah. No, that's any shout outs, any last parting comments on your about half a season worth of rankings?
I mean, it was a pretty great first year. I had a lot of help from you, Joe, and being able to access the watch list helped quite a bit too. I think it'll get easier next year at the start of the season when still getting everything figured out. But well, it was a good season.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. Stepping up halfway through it, kind of. I know I've gotten a little bit busier with family and more, a little bit. I mean, it's easier to update things on the website, but there's also more things to update, and definitely taking a load up something off my plate, which is always full enough with coaching, family, and the website. So definitely appreciate that. I know you'll do a great job. I wouldn't have. Obviously, you've done a pretty good job with pick'ems, and you pick those random guys. And I'm curious. I'm going to go to the picks and see what you actually really did pick. And if you pay me, if you pay me enough, maybe I won't release them. No, hey, he's done a great job. Definitely appreciate it. Mike, any parting shots at the Fort Wayne Semi-State?
Yeah, I think kind of what we were saying before. Thank you, Caleb. Obviously, you have a true mind for the sport. I don't think it's always like the easiest thing to do, but I think it's been an ongoing text like, hey, like Caleb does a great job. Like we got to get him involved some way. Like obviously he knows a lot about what's going on, and I think it's been a natural fit. I think you're gonna do great, man. It's tough. I know it's tough for Joe because obviously he loves the semi-state, but there's a lot going on with the site, and he has the second kid, Rocco. And you guys are obviously doing a good job coaching. So I think getting you on is great for our area. And it helps me a ton because I know like you're going to be updating your site. You're going to be updating your rankings. And I'm going to be able to see who you think. And I have a lot of respect for what you do. So I think, like Joe said, thank you a lot, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for everyone that's turned in these last 4 shows. I wasn't on last night's show, but you guys did great. I really enjoyed it. I listened to it. Thanks, Joe, for taking time out of your life really to put these on. I listen to a couple guys just kind of chop it up about wrestling and semi-states.
Yep. Thank you guys. Mike, you do a great job. You spent 3 nights this week, especially you're coming in a little bit earlier than we are even you're eating dinner as we're starting up the show.
Sometimes on the low.
Yep. And if you guys are, I don't know who's all staying on, we're going pretty long here tonight, but there will be a Snapchat filter at every semi-state. So turn on your location when you're on Snapchat, use our filter, tweet it, snap it to us. Maybe we'll send it back out. Should be pretty cool this weekend. I'm excited. It's best, as Coach P said, best time of the year. Hopefully the wife is hearing me that. It's
send your tweets to Joe _ no, I'm just joking. And thanks. Also, actually a guy that gave me a lot of help and he sends me a lot of texts is Troy Delaney. I really appreciate it, man. If there's someone that I know that he's seen, he's going to give me an honest opinion, and that's really all I ever ask for. I don't want to he doesn't bash kids, but he'll give me an honest breakdown, and more than anything, that's what you really want from everybody. It's just a very honest opinion.
Yep, definitely. Thank you guys. We'll be on next week, probably 2 nights like we did last year. I think it's easier to split it up, and we can really go into depth about some of the matchups and all the drama that is going to go on at semi-state. A lot of fun wrestling. I'm excited. Hopefully the Superchargers come to wrestle. Hopefully we got them.
That's all. The Superchargers winning the semi-state.
I'm not gonna say that on here. I mean, we got to wrestle well. We gotta hope that Yorktown has a couple hiccups. Hopefully we get those couple of those head-to-heads. Those are going to be huge, especially early on. I mean, we knock out one of their guys, they knock out one of ours. It's going to be an uphill battle from there. So I think Prairie Heights, like I said in the preview, Prairie Heights, Jimtown, kind of leave Jimtown off. They could have 4 champs. You get 4 champs, they get a couple pins. They're looking at close to 100 points, and that'd be right in the mix. I think I kind of had Yorktown about 110-ish, as probably some of their top 110, 120, depending on bonus. Yeah, so I haven't analyzed it. I know you guys are really shocked here. Prairie Heights, Belmont's, always in the mix. They're gonna pull out some random upsets. They're gonna have that Jerron Gehrig's gonna beat somebody. He's gonna go to the state. You know, they always have kids like that. It's I'm probably gonna get ripped in the Belmont paper, the Belmont Magic, the Decatur Magic. That their kids wrestle well. They're always ready to wrestle, and you know, they have some kids that have potential to make make a big dent in the semi-state. So should be a fun day of wrestling at Fort Wayne. Mike, if you ever want to come over, we got really comfortable seats. They have padding, they have cup holders, got great. They upgraded the food court. I mean, they have so many.
Mike, man, I'm like right up front. I love it, man. Also, shout out to my boy AJ Bradley. I forgot. AJ always give me the good info.
oh, you gotta get that one. Caleb, any parting shots before we close down?
Just thank you guys for allowing me to do the rankings this year. It was a great experience. Had a great fun time. Night was awesome. I love the site. Love everything you guys have been doing to make it better the past few years. Keep it up.
Yep.
Caleb, what section do you sit in so everyone can buy you a drink, a soda? That beard might be 25, but I don't think that you're 21.
21. 21.
So, okay, we'll see you guys later. Have a good weekend. We'll see you guys all next week.